Very good morning, students. I'm Daljit Kaur, Assistant Professor in English at Shri Guru Granth Sahib World University. In this video lecture, I will be talking about the poem The Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth. I'll be briefly sharing with you the background of the poem, the meaning and the metaphors that you need to understand the poem in detail. So first of all, who was William Wordsworth? William Wordsworth was one of the prominent English Romantic poets. He is even called the father of English Romantic movement. Along with it, he and his fellow friend Coleridge are famous for their work called The Prelude, which they wrote in collaboration with each other, right? And along with both of them, there is another person who was Wordsworth's sister called Dorothy Wordsworth, whose name is taken along with them as a kind of a friend who went along with them during their excursions. When we talk about this poem in particular, The Solitary Reaper, we need to know that the poem was an inspiration, and he got inspired to write this poem when he was out on an excursion to Scotland in year 1803 along with his sister Dorothy Wordsworth. It is said that he saw a similar vision as is presented in this poem during that excursion, and that inspired him to write this poem years after the real incident. That is why, to understand this poem, you need to know Wordsworth's definition of poetry. According to Wordsworth, poetry is spontaneous overflow of emotions, which are emotions recollected in tranquility. You need to understand this expression to understand Wordsworth's definition of poetry. So to simplify this statement, I must tell you that according to the critics, according to Wordsworth, poetry is a spontaneous overflow of emotions, and these emotions are aroused years after the real incident occurred. That means they are emotions, to put it in inverted commas, recollected in tranquility. That means a particular event happens and it inspires a strong set of emotions in you. The emotions can be happiness, melancholy, sadness, or any other set of emotions. And these emotions, they have such an effect on your mind that you remember the incident even years after it is over. And it is years after the incident is over when you are sometimes sitting in tranquility, sitting in peace, sitting idle at your in a peaceful state of mind, that those particular incidents, they recur in your mind, and again they inspire such powerful emotions in you that it inspires you to write about it, because that is the only way that you can get over that incident that inspired you in the first place. Now let us see how this definition of poetry gets connected to this poem in particular. I will be reading the poem word by word so as to enable you to understand it properly. So the poem goes as Wordsworth says, "Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass." Let me describe few difficult words to you. So firstly, he is talking about somebody, a girl, whom we call the lass. That means she is an unmarried young woman, young girl, who is working solitary. Solitary means alone in a highland, in a field on a highland, right? So he says, the sight of a young single girl working in a field, behold him, right? The sight captured his attention and it made him stop there and watch what she was doing. Reaping and singing by herself, stop here or gently pass. When his attention gets captured, he sees that she was reaping the crops in the field, and meanwhile she was singing a song. Now, the poet says he had two options. Either he could stop there and watch the girl doing what she was doing, or he could simply pass. So let us see what he does out of the two. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. He says he could not simply pass by. Why? Because she was working in the field all alone. She was cutting the crops that she had gathered, and she was binding them together. And while she was doing her work, she was singing a melancholy strain. Melancholy means a song which was full of melancholy, full of sadness. The nature of her song was melancholy. It was full of sadness. Oh, listen, for the wail profound is overflowing with the sound. And he says the sound, the intensity of her song was such that he could not simply pass by. It, you can say, forced him to stop there and listen to her song further. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt. He says her song was so capturing, so overpowering that he compares her song to the song of a nightingale. He says even he's sure that even no nightingale could have sung so well that it would have stopped a bunch of travelers traveling by sometime in the past. So, according to him, the intensity of the song of the solitary reaper was much more powerful than any set of song that any nightingale would have sung in the past. Of travelers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands, a voice of thrilling never was heard. And springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas, among the farthest Hebrides. He says, neither could any nightingale sing so powerfully that it could stop a bunch of travelers traveling through the Arabian plains, nor did anybody hear a cuckoo singing a song as intense, as capturing as was the song of this solitary reaper. So even a cuckoo could not sing as good as the solitary reaper and could not stop any prince walking by Hebrides. Will no one ever tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow from old, unhappy, far-off things and battles long ago. So here is another, you can say, element in the poem. Now the poet tells us that this solitary reaper is singing in some alien language. That means she is singing in a language that the poet himself does not understand. But that does not lessen the intensity of her song for our poet in any manner. He says he can simply guess. She might be singing of something old, some ancient incident. She might be singing about something unhappy. She might be talking about far-off things. She might be singing about some battles. He does not know. He can simply guess because he cannot comprehend the language in which the solitary reaper is singing. Or is it some more humbly familiar method of today? Or he says, probably she might be talking about something very common, something very regular also. Some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and maybe again. Maybe she's talking about something very common, something very peculiar which happens to everybody in day-to-day life. He does not know the theme, the subject matter of her song, but that does not become a hindrance in capturing the attention of the poet. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. He says, whatever might be the theme, the subject matter of her song, but it was so enchanting that he felt that her song would never end. I saw her singing at her work and over the sickle bending. She was simply cutting the crops with her sickle and singing simultaneously. I listened motionless and still. The intensity of her song was such that the poet was forced to stand there motionless still and simply listen to what she was singing. And as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore long after it was heard no more. He says, even when this particular incident was over, he had left the site and had mounted up the hill. Even years after, the music, the intensity of what she was singing, had a place in her heart, even if in his heart. Even if he could not listen to it anymore, it became a permanent memory in his mind. Now you should recall here what the poet Wordsworth says about the definition of poetry. Similar to his definition of poetry, here the particular incident, the real incident, inspired a lot of emotions in his mind, and he could not get over the incident even years after it was over. So years later, when he recalled the event in his mind again, it again aroused a strong set of emotions in him. He felt that he could rehear the song which he had listened to in real. Right? And that is why he sat down to listen to the song, because according to him, poetry is spontaneous overflow of emotions, and these emotions are recollected in tranquility. It was in tranquil mode of mind, it was in peaceful mode of mind years later that he recalled the particular incident. It again aroused strong emotions on him, and it was in this state of mind that he sat down and wrote about this incident in the form of this poem that we are discussing here. I hope you understand the poem. See you soon later. Thank you.